The choice of wedding cake is something personal to the bride and groom, but in recent times the choices become more varied. These days, some couples opt for sponge or chocolate cake instead of the traditional fruit cake. Some couples even do away with the cake altogether and have a chocolate fountain or an alternative centrepiece.
And then the cake, Steve's mum, Eve, made a whole load of little fairy cakes that were all piled up on a cake stand, so we thought that would be a nicer way of doing the cake than having three-tiered fruit cake, which is more traditional.
The whole mini cake thing and the whole cupcake thing is dead popular now. I think people just like the idea you can get all these new modern perspex stands, so it just gives the cake a whole different look. It's not quite so traditional. And also the whole cupcake thing has become very popular. I think almost it came over from America. I used to call them fairy cakes and now they've been called cupcakes. It is also a slightly cheaper way of doing your wedding cake because they do come in at a much lower price depending on how many guests you've got. So I would say that is the cheapest way of doing your cake.
Wedding cakes can be expensive, but there is a considerable amount of skill involved in making them. Icing a cake is delicate work and can be time-consuming. A great wedding cake can be the centrepiece of your wedding day, so choose your designer carefully. Ask to see and, if possible, taste samples of their work. Do they have any testimonials? How long have they been established?
The advice I would give a couple buying a wedding cake would be, first of all, to make sure that the person or people that they're going to be seeing holds a relevant certificate in health and hygiene, and they should also be registered with their local government office, and you can find that quite easily in the Yellow Pages.
People are surprised at how long you say it takes to make a cake. I mean, most of these tiered cakes, 3 or 4 tiers, can take up to 3 days. What takes the time and what adds to the cost of a cake is how much detail is on the outside. So the more sugar craft that there is in a cake, like for example this one has loads of sugar crafted roses, butterflies and leaves, that's going to take a long time to construct, and that's what bumps up the price.
I also recommend that couples see as many designers as possible, not just because you can see where their cake is being made, but you can have a good discussion and see that the kinds of ideas and designs that they might come up with. I think it's vital that you actually see examples of their work and possibly have a tasting, although that might not be at the initial consultation.
I can transport the cake and set up the cake on the day. I think for most brides and grooms, they don't want any hassle on the day. I will offer them peace of mind that the cake leaves my studio looking perfect and arrives at their wedding looking perfect. I'll then dress the cake, pop it on the table, I'll even dress the cake knife, dress the table with some flowers, make it all look beautiful. At the end of the day, I don't just want to turn up and dump the cake there, I want the whole thing to look lovely.
Most cake designers will ask you about the theme of your wedding and how their design will match up. They'll also need to know how many people you intend to give a piece to. If you want to opt for something a little less traditional, why not go for creating a cake made of tiers of profiteroles or cupcakes?
There's a huge range of varieties and styles to suit everybody's tastes and of course budget. Everything ranging from stacked cakes to airbrushed cakes to sculpted cakes, cakes that are separated. By that we mean a cake that has a perspex separator or a metal separator, so there's a gap between each of the layers. I think with trends in wedding cakes this year, we're going to be seeing a lot of different shaped cakes stacked on one another, so you might get hexagonals and circles with a square, something a bit more interesting than in previous years.
I mean, I like to suggest to a client that they come to me with a very small idea, be it a colour, a colour theme. If they just said the theme of my wedding is going to be red and they're going to tie that into everything else, we can then theme the cake around maybe that one colour or that one particular flower. Maybe they have a black and white theme or a butterfly theme. We can then tailor the cake around that one little thing. So any of my cakes can be changed in colour or design. They may like the configuration of a cake and I can then turn it into something that's black and white or pink and purple or any colour they like at all.
Will the cake maker supply a stand for the cake? When will the cake be ready for collection? Will the reception venue provide a cake knife, or do you need to bring one? Where will the cake be stored? A chocolate cake at a summer wedding could melt if not stored properly.
When choosing your cake, it's really important that you choose a designer that you're happy to work with. There are so many talented cake designers out there, and the actual styles that they create are amazing. So think about what you want. What message are you trying to portray with your cake? Do you want it to have the wow factor? Or are you simply looking for something that is classically beautiful? Ask what flavours they can do. Most cake bakers are happy to do each tier in a different flavour. Ask to actually sample some of the cake beforehand. You want to make sure that the cake is delicious. Ask them how long it will keep for. Is it suitable for sending to guests in cake boxes after? Ask them how many people it will feed. Do you want it served as the wedding dessert, in which case you need a bigger portion, or is it simply to have sliced in the evening for people to help themselves? This will determine how big the cake needs to be. Do you want icing, or do you want it to be covered with chocolate? Do you want fresh flowers, or do you want them to actually make little flowers for you? These are all the things you need to think about when you're actually choosing the right cake for you.